UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in the Santa Monica Mountains, I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli, back from a week off of vacation, but we still do shows anyway because we do a show here every day. And if something really intense happens, I have my cameras with us and we will give you an update. In fact, I did one update from the undisclosed location on the Panhandle in Florida. But we're back in studio, somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains. We're talking about 3I Atlas, and you can see astrophysicist says attack from potentially hostile alien threat could take place in just days. Is this fear-mongering? Is it hyperbola? We're going to delve into that. But first, a word from our very trusted sponsor. Folks, a meta-analysis of 23 controlled trials show that people taking collagen supplements saw real improvements in skin hydration, elasticity, and reductions in wrinkle depth. That means collagen isn't just a beauty fad. It's one of the most studied supplements proven to actually change how your skin looks and feels. This is why I use it every single day. Ageless Multi-Collagen. Folks, I love the way it makes my skin look. It supercharges my skin with 5 types of premium collagen needed to help reduce wrinkles. Since I started drinking collagen daily, I've noticed smoother skin, more elasticity, fewer lines, and a youthful glow. And at 75 years old, I definitely need it. Plus, it also helps improve my joint health, bone strength, and connective tissues. Grab a bag of Ageless Multi-Collagen, 51% off at healthwithla.com. That's www.healthwithla.com, and start experiencing real results. Plus, they have a promotion right now that includes free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin. A 60-day, think about this, folks, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee and free shipping with every order. Once again, folks, healthwithla.com. That's healthwithla.com. Okay, so we have to talk about this because we've never had anything like it that I'm aware of. So we're going to broach the subject. Before I get into that, I was playing golf with my friend Don Coons and Dave Wilkinson. And actually, Dave wasn't with us that day. So it was just Don and me, and this gentleman, won't mention his name, joined us. So we had a threesome. And he was asking, well, what do you do? I said, well, I make films and write books. And that immediately piqued his interest. And he goes, well, what do you write? What are the films about? I go, well, a lot of things about the Nephilim. And he had no idea what that was. I said, well, we have a 10-part DVD series on UFOs. And am I kidding you? Don's a witness. He basically took a step back, started looking around. And I went, well, it's okay. It's okay. We're not going to go there. It's okay. So before I even get to this article, which is the 22nd of October, so it's, it's pretty recent, right? And I want to thank our friend Bill, who sends me stuff all the time. Bill's a friend of the show and gives me links like this. So let's walk into it if we can. This man on the golf course had been programmed for decades with an ongoing, all types of media, print media, film media, just everything. That if you talk about UFOs, you're a tinfoil hat wearing guy, you're a kook, you're a crank, there's something wrong with you. This is why in our abduction film, now I'm going to go down a rabbit trail here. In our abduction film, the introduction to that abduction film, you hear me talk about people are afraid. People who are abducted are afraid. They're alone. They can't talk to anyone. They live in fear. And where do you go with this? And this guy on the golf course was a perfect illustration of that. The moment I even mentioned UFOs, he took a step back and started looking around. And I've seen this before, so I know what to look for. I know that guys like this have been, and I hate to use the word, but they had been conditioned through the media, all forms of media, that if you talk about the subject, you're a kook, you're a tinfoil hat guy. You're not dealing with a full deck. Well, I've been doing this for well over 30 years. And this is the coming great deception. I did a whole presentation at the Prophecy Watchers Conference a while back. By the way, thank you, all the folks, the Prophecy Watchers, who came up to the table And we really appreciate the fellowship that we had there. Thank you, Bob Ower, to Gary Stearman, Madhu Gonzalez, and, all the ladies of Prophecy Watchers were just incredible. Hats are off to them, too. A big shout out to them. But the halls of Congress are talking about this. And at the Prophecy Watchers Conference, I went through this. I said, in Congress just a couple of weeks ago, before the Prophecy Watchers Conference, so in Congress, they showed a clip, and I did a whole show on it here. You can go see it. A UFO is glowing, and it's coming down. They're tracking this thing, and they fire a Hellfire missile at it. The Hellfire missile just glances off of it and breaks apart. How is it possible? How is that possible? And they have no explanation for it. Our military has no explanation for what we are seeing. The fact is, it's a dog and pony show. They never really go anywhere, and I'll say it again, what President Trump needs to do, if he really wants to get to the bottom of it, okay, is to get 500 of the best of the best of the best. SEALs, special forces, special ops, the best of the best. Break them up. 250 go to Wright Pat, 250 go to Area 51. As far as I know, there's no sitting president that has ever gone to Area 51. So what's there? Well, you don't have a need to know. Exactly. Need to know basis, and you, Mr. President, have no need to know. Now, that's conjecture on my part. Maybe some of the presidents do know. I have no idea. But right, Pat, we know, and in our film, in our 10-box DVD set, I don't have it in front of me, but you can go to lamarzulli.com and see it for yourself, or you can stream it, streaming at lamarzulli.net. 10-box DVD set, our film on Roswell. We sat down, and I'm doing this interview with a gentleman, and he's talking about the records being flown to Wright Pat. I mean, how many times do we have to hear this before we begin to realize that there is a hidden agenda? The phenomenon is real, and now we have this astrophysicist says attack for potentially hostile alien threat could take place in just days. So before we even get into this, I do not engage in hyperbole like some shows do. I just don't do it. I try to get to the truth of the matter, get to the bottom of what we're seeing, and just the facts. Now, sometimes I go out on a limb. When I do that, I'll say this is conjecture on my part. Like, for instance, when we did our first show on three high Atlas, I said, well, Atlas is a Nephilim, right? Greek god holding the world on his shoulder. So are they signaling something here with this name? I don't know. This is conjecture. I'll do it again. 3i, third eye. Are they signaling to us? Are they telegraphing us that this is a global event, Atlas, right? Holding the globe on his shoulder. This is a global event that will enlighten humanity. Now, that's complete conjecture on my part, and I get that. But what if it's true? And this thing is heating up, which is why we're covering it in the first place. The comet 3i Atlas, which many still believe to be a form of alien spacecraft, may reveal its origin as it passes behind the sun out of view. This is the 22nd of October. The potentially hostile alien threat that has been taking the internet by storm since its discovery in July may soon reveal its origin as it hides behind the sun. 3i Atlas, an incredibly rare comet from outside our solar system, has baffled scientists since it was first spotted earlier this year, with many people firmly believing the object to be actual proof of alien life. Now, on Nino Rodriguez's show, there was a gentleman and a woman entrenched in New Age paradigm, New Age belief, which is fine. Look, we're not going to disparage people on the show. We just don't do that here. We don't go, we just don't do that. They're entitled to believe what they want to believe, okay? If you believe that the Anunnaki are extraterrestrial visitors, that's your belief. I believe that they're fallen angels. In fact, we're going to have a guest on who's written a book on the Anunnaki, and I think you'll find it very interesting when we bring her on. This theory is currently being put to the test as the comet has recently hit solar conjunction, which is a fancy way of describing when a comet or planet is on the opposite side of a sun. So why does this actually matter? Well, how the object, which has previously been confirmed to be a comet, behaves while approaching the sun could help piece together what 3i Atlas is made of, and crucially, provide hints as to where it might have come from. So, when comets approach the sun, they get hotter and start releasing volatile gases and dust from their surface, which is exactly what 3i Atlas appears to have done, while 6.4 AU, I mean, that's like a long way away from the sun. For context, Earth is 1 AU away from the sun, so there's still a fair distance between them. As of yesterday, the 21st of October, the comet has been hiding directly behind the sun and completely out of view from the Earth, which is when the object could do something unusual. If alien-like conspiracy theories are to be believed, according to Harvard professor Avi Loeb. Now, let me just stop you there, okay? Stop us there. So how is it that Avi Loeb just ascends? How does that work? And he's all over the media, print media, film media, news media. He's everywhere. How does that work? How does someone get anointed like a Dr. Fauci? Now, I'm not comparing Avi Loeb with Dr. Fauci. I'm not trying to do that, okay? What I am saying is this. How is it that all of a sudden Avi Loeb is the spokesperson? How is it that we see, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, and bully for Jeremy, he's a filmmaker. He's did a great job with the Bob Lazar film, and George Knapp has been talking about UFOs for decades, and George Knapp was testified in front of Congress a while back. So, but why are these people elevated? And I'm not saying, well, I want to be elevated. I'm not saying that. The Lord has me in a nice little comfortable place. And if that's we have a following of 256,000 people on YouTube. Our numbers grow. We get emails every single day from people thanking for what we do. So we have a vibrant, ministry, and we sound the alarm. And like, my hymn is on the plow. But I'm always curious. All of a sudden, Avi Loeb is a household word. How does that happen? A household word, a household name. How does that happen? So let's continue. IFL Science reports that Loeb says that if the object is actually of alien origin, it might choose to do an Oberth maneuver. I have no idea what that is, by using the sun's gravity to alter its course and speed. He wrote in a Q&A that from an engineer's perspective, a mothership that releases mini probes would perform this maneuver to slow down at perihelion and intercept Earth. Now, this is way beyond my pay grade. We need Mondo Gonzalez here or Brad Brady here. Both of those guys have telescopes and they're familiar with these terms. I am not. So I'm a neophyte. So let's continue. Taking advantage of the sun's gravitational assist, adding that the amount of power required to perform such a thing depends on the mass of the mini probe, and that the mini probe can potentially reach the Earth within a few months after perihelion. If Loeb's theory is incorrect, and it is indeed a comet, then it would continue on its merry way through the solar system. Frankly, that's what I'm banking on. I don't believe that this is an alien crypt, but I could be wrong, which is why we're covering it. The fact that Avi Loeb is throwing this out, before I left on vacation, before I left to the Prophecy Watchers, we did the PW conference and only went for 7 days on the Florida Panhandle, which was just fantastic. I talked about the idea of disclosure. And there was, Avi Loeb was on News Nation and with Elizabeth Vargas, and he was talking about this could possibly be a black swan event. In other words, extinction. So Avi Loeb is talking about a black swan event, and this really rattled Elizabeth Vargas. She was freaked. I'm not going to sleep this weekend, Abby. Thanks a lot. And so, what are we looking at here? Well, we know from the biblical prophetic narrative, my Bible's right here, that number one, that's not what comes down. Why? Because we have the prophetic thread that goes from Genesis to all the way to Revelation. That prophetic thread shows us that someone is outside having trouble this morning. It's been almost 2 weeks since I've done a show. I did one show on the Panhandle, but I digress as usual. Is this but I digress? Yes, this is This is a digress coffee mug. So I'm digressing. And let's pick it up where we left off. So the bottom line is this, that something is happening, right? Something is going on, but we don't engage in hyperbole here. What do I think it is? I don't know yet. It's conjecture. This is why at the Prophecy Watchers conference, when I showed that clip with Elizabeth Vargas and Avi Loeb talking about a black swan event, I basically stated, and I'll circle back, prophecy. We've got the biblical prophetic thread from Genesis to Revelation that calls out the beginning from the end with great specificity. And it's the only book on the planet that does that. You could point to Nostradamus, but Nostradamus's quatrains are very fuzzy. You can point to the Hopi prophecies. Maybe some of those are true. But here's one of my favorites is Amos 9, 14 and 15. And I have my Bible turned to this. Now, before I even say it, and I'm way down a rabbit trail, rabbit trolls and rabbit trails. And we'll get back into this article in just a minute. But Amos 9, 14 and 15 states, I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. They will rebuild the waste cities and inhabit them. They will plant vineyards and drink the wine from them. They will also plant gardens and eat the fruit from them. I will plant them in their land, and never again will they be plucked up out of the land I have given them. Let me state this really clearly and emphatically. Israel is God's timepiece. Israel is God's chosen people. End of story. That's what they are. Does that mean they're perfect in every way? No. They crucified the Son of God. They will look on him whom they have pierced. That's prophecy. They will look on him whom they have pierced. Who's they? Well, it's his blood be upon us and upon our children. People don't like to hear that. I'm not anti-Semitic. I love Israel. I love the children of Israel. I do. I support them, but I don't give them a free pass, folks. I don't. These are the Jews. They're not the Khazarians. These are the Jews. They are God's prophetic timepiece. They still are God's chosen people. So take replacement theology and toss that away. Take your amillennial view and say goodbye to that, because there they are. What are they doing back in the homeland? I will gather my people Israel and plant them back in their homeland, never again to be plucked up. So either God's a liar, or we can't look at Amos 9, and no one ever talks about that. Isn't that interesting? All right. So we know that Israel is back in the land, and it is God's prophetic time clock. And isn't it interesting, the rise of anti-Semitism? It's just unbelievable. I don't give them a pass. Their government and the people in their government may be just as corrupt, if not more so, than any other government or any other people on the planet. Without Messiah, without being born again and spirit-filled, people die in their sin nature. I still have a sin nature. My hope is this, that when Jesus calls us up, and this is extra, okay? When Jesus calls us home in the rapture, and it might be sooner than any of us think, right? Right? When Jesus calls us home in the rapture, we don't arrive in the clouds with him and with our sin nature intact. Remember when Isaiah is taken to the throne room? Woe is me, I am a man of unclean lips. Why is he saying that? He's in the throne room. Surely he should be exalting in the fact, oh my gosh, I'm in the throne room. No, woe is me, I am a man of unclean lips. Why does he say that? He arrives with his sin nature intact. His sin nature has not been removed. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. That changing in the twinkling of an eye is, in my opinion, before the trumpet sounds and we go up, we are changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. How are we changed? Our DNA is changed. We lose our sin nature. So when we arrive in the clouds with Jesus, guess what? No more sin nature. Because you're not going to be in the clouds with Jesus arriving there with a sin nature. Not going to happen. All right, so let's continue. A theoretical physicist previously said he believed there was a good chance that 3i Atlas is not natural and suggested people should go on holiday before the 29th of October, because who knows what will happen. So, this is hyperbole in my opinion. I mean, here's the article. People are reading it, right? It's all over the news. So, that little throwaway, I'll read it again, and suggested people should go on a holiday before the 29th of October, because who knows what will happen. Earlier this month, Avi Loeb wrote on his blog, as of now, I assign the 30 to 40% likelihood that 3i Atlas does not have a fully natural origin. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 3 or a 4. So he's hedging his bets. This low probability scenario includes the possibility of a black swan event akin to a Trojan horse, where a technological object masquerades as a natural comet. I'll say that again. And John, go to camera 2 here, because I'm going to enlarge this so people can really see it. Okay, there we go, right there. This is pretty intense. It's right here. Here's my cursor, right? This low probability scenario includes the possibility of a black swan event akin to a Trojan horse, where a technological object masquerades as a natural comet. There's your black swan event. But not everyone follows this line of thinking, with NASA's lead scientist for solar system, Tom Statler, telling The Guardian, it looks like a comet, it does comet things, it's very, very strongly resembles in just about every way the comets that we know. So here you've got a disparity between Loeb and NASA's guy, Tom Statler. So who do we believe? We believe both, because that's what we do. We don't put our chips on Avi Loeb. We don't take our, I'm using a poker analogy for those of you who don't get it, okay? And I'm not a betting man, and I don't play poker, so there. So we take our chips, but I'm using this for analogy. We take our chips and we go, yeah, I'm betting on Avi Loeb. Or wait, we take our chips and go, I'm betting on Tom Statler. No, we don't do that. We just sit back and we look and we watch and we see what transpires. Maybe both of them are wrong. I don't know. So we'll continue with this. While he did confess there are some interesting properties, Statler's confessing this, that are a little bit different from our solar system comets, he doubled down on the evidence overwhelming, pointing to 3I Atlas being a comet. Although recently Loeb took to his blog to write that as of now, 3I Atlas appears most likely to be a natural comet, adding, but the remote possibility of an over-Earth maneuver must be considered seriously as a black swan event with a small probability because of its huge implications for humanity. So the next show I'm going to do will be a woman who claims that this is a message from aliens. So we'll see what she has to say, and then we'll dissect it. Again, people can believe what they want to believe. And I don't know this woman from Adam, and obviously she's in some sort of communication with something. And that's why, as a Christian, as a frank supernaturalist, what are we looking at here? Look, folks, the bottom line is this, and I'll end by saying this, that when in fact, go to camera 2, John, there it is. Woman shares message from aliens as potentially hostile alien threat resurfaces. So we'll have to, in the next show, we'll listen, I'm kind of teasing you here, but the next show we'll talking about this, we'll see what she has to say, and we'll walk through it. As a Christian, as a frank supernaturalist, the coming UFO phenomena is the coming great deception, and it will happen. This will change everything. Remember, I stated at the Prophecy Watchers Conference, how do we arrive at a global government, right? At a one world religious system? Well, when mile-wide UFOs appear, that's going to change everything. They will tell us that they created all life on this planet. They started the world's religions. They started the world's civilizations. Now, at this critical juncture, E.T., our space brothers, are back to usher mankind into a golden age. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not. The church, for the most part, is so anemic. They won't even go there, to their own detriment. I do a show every single day. I follow the UFO phenomena. By the way, someone asked, what does the word burgeoning mean? That means it's growing. It's expanding. UFOs are real burgeoning. It's not going away. So burgeoning, it's growing. It's expanding. People are talking about it. Your Congress is talking about it. That's it. 10-box DVD set. You can stream every single film for $4.99. You can buy the entire 10-box DVD set. Don't forget our special Nephilim Mounds Conference. I'll hold that up for John to take a look at it. Nephilim Mounds Conference. There's hours and hours and hours of incredible information here. LAMarzulli.com, LAMarzulli.com. Do your homework. By the way, members only. Think about it. Members only get free content that other people don't get. We get the free news magazine. You get the free news magazine. You also get 10% off everything in the store and other bonuses when I see fit to, like, I think last week we put up Holy Fire, Holy Shroud for members only. So they got to watch the film for free. That's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. UFOs are real and burgeoning and not going away. I'm your intrepid host, Elliot Marzulli. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll follow up on this story and see where it goes.
It is a beautiful day up here in the 49th state, so I thought I'd take advantage of this good weather window before the snow comes and get out here and look for some tracks and tree structures. If you're wondering about my shirt already, yep, I'm an L.A. Marzulli guy. So L.A. Marzulli, in case you don't know who he is an established author, commentator, and filmmaker. And we had him on the show about a year ago, and we got a lot of heat for that show. And the reason we got heat is because there's a lot of people in the Bigfoot research community that absolutely come unglued if you come from a biblical perspective, namely the Nephilim connection theory where it relates to Sasquatch. And they just come unglued about that. And we got heat. But they were really saying more about themselves than they were about us. So we appreciated that L.A. Marzulli took the time to come to our small podcast and talk to us about the alien phenomenon, as well as the Nephilim connection theory where it relates to Sasquatch. So we encourage you to go check out his website at lamarzulli.net. He's got a lot of great stuff over there. And yeah, in case you're not familiar with the Nephilim connection theory, look into it.
The late Russ Dizdar and I created the Nephilim Mounds conferences, and we had people like Gary Stearman there, Chief Joseph Rivler, of course, you know, Fritz Zimmerman. I mean, he's the guy that got me on the trail of a Nephilim, which resulted in 8 films, and number 9 is coming out soon. But guess what? Here's the Nephilim Mounds collection. There are hours and hours of presentations. Gary Stearman, Fritz Zimmerman, Chief Joseph Rivler, and yours truly, and others weigh in on the Nephilim. And you know what, folks? You can see right here the Great Serpent Mount. Yeah, we believe that's Nephilim architecture, fallen angel technology. So for $60, you get all these DVDs here. It's absolutely incredible. There are 11 discs in the set, plus a bonus DVD, Watches 6, The Secret Cosmic War. This is when we went to Peru. And with our guide, Brian Forrester, we learned and ventured to what we believe is fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture, and it's pre-flood. Go to lamarzulli.com, lamarzulli.com. What are you waiting for? Avail yourself. There's so much teaching, so much good stuff in this 11-disc set. Plus, you get the bonus DVD. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.